This is the Evan Ginzburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com with Jim Savali, our engineer and station owner. And today we have our very special guest, Wisteria Hall, and that's Jimmy Farrow of Monty and the Farrow fame, as you could see by the T-shirt, along with Bart Griggs. So this is going to be a very special live set, and gentlemen, hit it.
Thank you, sir. First song is entitled "In My Dreams." Goes something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. In my dreams, life the way it's supposed to be. The garden of stones, all by myself, too heavy to roll, left upon a shelf. And though she wasn't there, I swear I could smell her hair. It doesn't seem very fair to me. In my dreams, life the way it's supposed to be. Behind these gray walls I once called my home. Many surround me lately as I lay alone. And though I felt so near as I was lying here, for a moment I was free. In my dreams, life the way it's supposed to be. Come on. Oh yeah. Don't you know that you left me alone, all by myself, to carry your load, left upon the shelf. And though I couldn't see the way it was meant to be, was this fantasy for real? In my dreams, life the way it's supposed to be. Life the way it's supposed to be. This life the way it's supposed to be, yeah. For once I know, she told me so. It's time to go. Thank you. We're going to pull one out of left field a little bit here. We're going to do a song from a band called Jethro Tull because we want to. And this is actually a little bit there for Jimbo, too, because I know he digs the classic rock and all of those influences. So here I was mulling it over with Bart, and I was like, you know who doesn't get enough love? Ian Anderson doesn't get enough love because the guy's a genius. He's an amazing flute player, an incredible acoustic guitar player, but he's also a great lyricist. So anyway, this is one out of left field. This isn't Aqualung. This isn't Teacher. Hey, Evan, Teacher. Yeah. This isn't Teacher. This is a song from the very early days of Jethro Tull called "We Used to Know." 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Whenever I get to feel this way, have to find new words to say. A thing about the bad old days we used to know. Nights of winter turn me cold. Fears of dying, getting old. We ran the race was won by running slowly. Could be soon, we'll cease to sound. Slowly upstairs, faster down. and to revisit stony grounds we used to know. With every morning shilling spent, made no sense to leave the bed. The bad old days, they came and went, even in the fruitful years. Saving up the virgin hand, one in a bush, the other's land. Take what you can before the man says it's time to go. Each to his own way, I'll go mine. Best of luck with what you find, but for your own sake, remember times we used to know. Yeah. Thank you. There you go.
Thank you, guys.
Someone out of left field for you from the great Jethro Tull. I got a couple more here for you. Why don't you take it over, Mr. Bartman, and let us down easy.
Okay. This song is called Let Me Down Easy. It's a pleasant song. It's about relationships and wanting to do the right thing. Maybe feeling guilty about something you said or something you've done, but you ultimately want reconciliation and you're hoping that the other person involved will give it to you.
And if you can't get it, at least let me down easy.
Yeah, if you
Oh,
can.
for God's
you know what?
sakes. Why does everybody have to be such a cyberbully? Don't! Anyway. Ready? Hit
Sure.
it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Let me down easy. Where did you go now? I'm feeling uneasy. Get through to you somehow. If just for a short time. It wasn't my fault, I just couldn't win. The things that I said, they hurt you again. And if you don't, let me down easy. Always on the run, with the backs up against it all. No need to lose your mind, just let it pass on. It wasn't my fault, I just couldn't win. The things that I said, they hurt you again. And if you don't, let me down easy, yeah. Oh, baby, won't you let me down easy. Let me down easy. Let me down easy. So where do we go now? The circle that comes to pass. Get through to you somehow. If just for a short time. It wasn't my fault, I just couldn't win. The things that I said, they hurt you again. And if you don't, let me down easy. Let me down easy. Baby, won't you let me down easy? Let me down, let me down, let me down. Let me down easy. Let me down easy. Let me down easy.
Thank you. Yeehaw.
Had to get the magic capo going.
All right. Well, we got one more little ditty for you. This particular one is obviously very Beatles influenced because, John's good like that. So, this one, when Mr. Bartman pronounces himself ready, is called Not Far Behind. Are you pronouncing yourself ready?
How's that sound?
I don't know. You ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thinking it over, the things you said to me. I started with something, with nothing, now I leave. So you were with me for a while, but now you're gone. And wherever you go, I'm not far behind. I'm not far behind. Starting all over, too many times we tried, pulling us under, our time's been swept aside. So you were with me for a while, but now you're gone. And wherever you go, I'm not far behind. I'm not far behind.
2, 3, 4.
Only want and need your love. Can I ask if it's enough? Are you feeling the same way? 'Cause I want and need your love. Can I ask if it's enough? Are you feeling the same way? Oh. And now that it's over, did you care at all? 'Cause wherever you go, I'm not far behind. I'm not far behind. Come on. Here we go again. Here comes the rain again. Here we go again. Here comes the rain again.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Stereo Hall.
Thank you.
And we're going to play your video, so you guys want to set it up for us?
Yeah, certainly.
What are we gonna see?
We're going to see a song that we worked on for a very long time, produced with the great Eddie Kramer of Hendrix and Zeppelin fame. This is a song off our debut album entitled Indivisible. This is a song called This Life.
And following the video, we're going to have you guys on the couch for an extensive interview. So
Excellent.
with Stereo Hall.
This life is tearing me apart. This life is tearing me apart. Remember when I was with you? Love was all we really knew. I saw the beauty in this world all around me.
Ginzburg show at villageconnectionradio.com with Wisteria Hall. Seated closest to me, Jimmy Farrow of Monty and the Farrow fame. And in case you don't know Monty and the Farrow, that is our wrestling show here at Village Connection Radio, Thursdays, 8:05 p.m. And seated across from me, we have Bart Griggs. And that was a beautiful set, guys.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And I heard a little of the Birds in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That works. We love that.
Birds.
So who are some of your influences?
You go first, brother.
We're like mutts since we grew up during the the
Leave my
70s.
looks out of this. What are you talking about? My God, but go on.
You know, influences from people you know and your brothers, like the Beatles, the Stones, the Hollies, just growing
Never
up
heard
and
of any
hearing
of
that
them.
stuff.
Yeah, no,
Who
kidding.
are they? Who are
The
they?
who?
And there's a lot of obscure guys that, you know, if you mention them in the 70s, of course, Zeppelin goes on. So as it went on, we just got a piece of everything. You know, we like to call it our own, but it just, the brain has captured so much, even through the 90s, right?
Yeah, for me, it started with the Beatles, thanks to Dad. And after the Beatles, for being an impressionable 10-year-old in 1977, I found Kiss to be extremely cool. As a 10-year-old, I loved it.
I was more a P-Funk, Parliament Funkadelic guy. During
Well,
the
yeah,
Kiss
you know,
era.
I mean, you and I definitely had different, curveballs and fastballs. I was very much into Kiss for a little while, and then I moved out to Long Island. I was suddenly placed in junior high as a stranger in a strange land. And coming from a kind of like fucked up background, sorry about the French, but that's the way it was in my house. Heavy metal gravitated to me.
Tell us a little about that.
You know,
since you brought it up.
well, it's weird. My mom was the one who taught me my first instrument. She was a classical piano player, and she was very good. And she taught me classical piano, so that was the first instrument I learned. And the first concert I ever did was actually a Mozart piece at Adelphi.
Wow.
In a suit. I'm like 6 years or 7 years old,
That's
maybe.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was weird, you know. And then I got hit by a car later on, and my wrist got ruined. So that was the end of that, which really. But something funny happened along the way. As I got older, I became more interested in other forms of rock, and the Kiss thing, I guess my parents thought it was cute because I'm 10 years old. I was into the makeup and all. That's cute. But as I turned into a teenager and, you know, you start experimenting with stuff, I started listening to heavy metal. Everything changed. And all of a sudden, music wasn't so welcome by my mom. She's like, what are you doing?
Well, Mozart was kind of a rock star for his time.
Yeah, he was. As a matter of fact, he was the rock star of his time. Yeah, and he behaved accordingly.
And he
That's
had,
right.
you know, he had long hair.
Yeah,
if it was a wave.
he
That's
did.
very long.
No,
you
he
know?
did. You know, I mean, he was the original rock star in my opinion. That's interesting that you bring that up, but I feel that Mozart was.
I know everybody.
You know.
it's
A genius, by the way. Oh my God, I love listening to Mozart. I still listen to Mozart. Oh my God,
I was watching a Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
what a
Speaking of
genius!
documentary.
What a genius!
And
oh my
they
God.
refer to him as like this Mozart from Hawthorne, California. So it's exactly everybody that's got something going on, the original creative or the rock star thing. You know, I don't know if Elvis, was he considered a Mozart? No, but he was definitely the original rock star.
I don't look at, you know, it's weird when it comes to Elvis Presley, and I know that people are going to probably start throwing shit at the screen, and that's fine. I always thought Elvis the performer is obviously a 10. Come on. He's Elvis, you know? But I never forgot that as far as a songwriter goes, he's not really a songwriter. He did a few things. He contributed a few awesome little things. But in general, he wasn't a songwriter. So that's why I kind of like put him in a different, when I look at him, you know.
You know what gets me upset?
Composing means a lot to me.
When people
got
talk
that going.
about Elvis and they do the whole he was a culture bandit thing. I don't agree with that. I think Elvis credited all of his blues and R&B
Yeah.
heroes.
Elvis was
Yeah.
great, and I thought Elvis was a humble guy too, from what
And
I could tell.
I never
You know?
saw him as a quote-unquote culture bandit because
What?
he credited the
Yeah.
people that he admired. And,
Right.
Big Mama Thornton originally did Hound Dogs. So,
Right.
So Elvis gets heat. That wasn't his song, but,
Yeah, but
that
what
was
about
standard
what about
practice
what
back
about
in the
helping
day.
to put it on the map where everyone knows the song?
Absolutely.
Oh my God!
Absolutely.
I mean, thank you, sir. May I have another? If anybody wants to come and cover one of our tunes and turn it into that, thank you. I will not be
That's right.
offended. Please
right.
come
Yeah.
right up and I mean, by God. But it's funny. In my house, Elvis was nothing compared to John Lennon and Paul. That's how my dad was. He's like, Elvis, what did he write? That was my dad. He
You know
felt
who are great songwriters? Dilford and Tilbrook from Squeeze.
okay.
Also great songwriters.
I can go with that,
I was
especially
showing
the
that to
lyrics
my
are
son. I was
fantastic.
playing that music
Yeah.
to my son. He just gets off on the pulling muscles from Michelle, and
Those are
if he
like
really
what
knew
we
what
used
that
to
was
call.
really about.
We used to call those perfect 3-minute pop tunes.
Right.
Yeah.
They really are. I
And they
love
were
the formula that they
were
had back then.
compared to they doing the Lennon McCartney comparisons for their catchy tunes, and they had like.
Do you realize how many different vocal cool things happened during the song Tempted? It's
God.
the story I could tell. I mean, there's like all this stuff going
Yeah.
on, like
Very deep.
all the different
Lyrical,
vocals and
melodic.
I thought they were good.
Squeeze
they
is
were
a great
great.
band. They're
Yeah,
still out
love it.
there.
Very
Still
good.
out there. Great live band too.
Yeah, and they made their mark during the MTV days. MTV came around when I was 14 or 15. That was basically targeted right at us.
Yeah.
And because the same videos were always being rammed down your throat, I got into the heavy metal stuff. I thought that they were superior musicians because if you step back and you start realizing those guitar players are playing a lot of classical scales, they're unbelievably talented.
So much of rock comes from the blues. I mean,
Right.
especially the British bands back in the 60s
Oh,
and
sure.
70s. They always credited
Sure.
Muddy Waters
Sure.
and all those guys. So
Sure, my poor Muddy Waters album, it melted on the back of the Nova. We were driving out to California with the Electric Sunset. We were going to Hollywood, and we had packed everything into the car, and I mean everything we owned. And this poor Howling Wolf record was left in the back, and we'd left in February, so it's cold out. And not thinking too much about it. By the time we got through Arizona, that thing had been melted like a frisbee. It was all
boy.
warped, and I was like, "Oh, poor Howling Wolf."
I actually knew Hubert Sumlin, Howling Wolf's guitarist, and he was a virtuoso blues guitarist. And Keith Richards actually helped him out financially. It's not well known, but because the Stones just worship the blues players. I
Right.
mean, and
Right.
people sometimes forget that link, but
Right. Was that to make up for what he did to the Bittersweet Symphony guy?
That's an awful story.
I don't know if you're
There was
familiar
a
with
band
that
from
one.
the '90s, the Verve, and they came out with that bittersweet.
Are you familiar with that
Symphony.
tune?
The fact that you guys can understand what I'm singing, that's good enough.
Dun, 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 dun,
So,
dun,
what happened
dun,
was they-
dun, 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 dun.
So they borrowed that melody.
popular
They actually
tune.
took that melody from a 1960s Rolling Stones album that was done by an orchestra. Actually, it was all orchestrated songs.
Right.
So they took that.
Right. That feel.
So they, of course, caught when the publishing company said no. So they made Jagger and Richards as part of the songwriting team of that Verve, and the Verve had to give them all the money.
wow.
And Keith Richards'
The
response
Verve
like,
had to give the Rolling Stones all the money, and they
Yeah.
were like, "You took our only hit. You're taking all our money." And Keith Richards'
Keith
response
Richards
was,
says, "Well, go write another one. Go write your own."
coming from a guy who had a blank slate back in the '60s, that's kind of not fair. Since the whole page has been filled in by 1999, it's like, what do you
Three-quarters and a
mean?
smile.
Go write another one. So much for your one hit. Wait. I think that's pretty.
That was pretty big.
I know you don't like when those corporations come in and suck the little guy up.
Oh man! One of the themes of this show is to support independent music, and I just started a page on Facebook. Evan Ginzburg, support independent music, and you can look that page up. And every day of the week, we nominate a different band as artist of the day or solo artist, and
Nice.
it gives people an opportunity to discover new artists,
Nice.
just like this show does. And tell us about yourselves. How did you guys connect? And tell us about Wisteria Hall. What's the history?
Okay. You want to do that, or you want me to do that?
I could tell you, we'll do both. Just jump in.
Well, I know it ties in with my band.
We go back.
Early
We go
band.
back to the 1980s. I met him through a friend who was producing a band that he was in at the time, and we just hit it off in meeting. We had a common interest, of course, in music and writing songs. And
So you're one
We
of those
actually
rare bands that get along.
Oh, we've always gotten along. Yeah, we don't
get along.
Yeah.
Every documentary you ever see, the band suing each other, punching each other, screwing each other's wives and girlfriends.
Oh, my God.
Jimmy always refers to something.
No,
Jimmy always
it's not us.
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy always refers to something as crossing a bridge. Like if we have to discuss who's going to sing a song, or Jimmy's like, "Oh, I got this great idea for a harmony," and I'm like, "It's too much. Let's take it out."
You know what it is?
We have to be able to trust each other.
When you have
when
you have a working relationship with somebody, if you're able to clearly spell out, I tend to do this. When I notice that there could be a potentially uncomfortable moment with anything, whether it's the title of the tune or which one of us is going to sing it or whatever, I actually announce that this is crossing a bridge time. We got something that we got to make sure we get through because it's something that most people wouldn't get through. Now I want to sing it. Now I want to sing it. The next thing you know, like you said, hey, your wife looks pretty good. What are you looking at? We don't want that.
One of the hardest things, and I knew
it's almost recognizing those moments and killing them right before they can even.
I knew we were in the clear one time because when we
clear
when we recorded this
great.
when we recorded the album, it was drum tracks being laid down, and they were all great. It's Jimmy on the drums, self-taught drummer, excellent.
Okay.
There was one song that we decided to redo, and I was afraid to mention it, and we both agreed. And when it came back, it was just terrific. It was just a little thing, but we're very picky.
My God!
Great.
When you
found one thing that we didn't like, or it was too long.
When you hear our studio versions, our complete versions, those were really combed over and thought about real careful.
But it's the same thing if he thought that.
So it's a democracy. There's no band leader.
That would make me ill because it's like I've seen it, and you find egos come from the strangest places sometimes in the band.
Right.
It's like like the quietest guy or the loudest guy. The loudest guy's not necessarily always the biggest ego. It's weird how that works.
Well, I go back to the
being in a bunch of bands over the
60s
years.
and 70s R&B, and when it became Diana Ross and the Supremes as opposed to the Supremes,
right,
things got heated.
Right.
And when David Ruffin said, I want it to be David Ruffin and the Temptations instead of the Temptations,
right,
once egos and record companies get in the mix, things really can go south.
Yeah.
Members start quitting, and it gets very ugly.
I know Jimbo loves the Beatles. I remember reading a letter in one of the books where it was the early 70s. The Beatles had broken up, and John wrote this scathing letter to Paul basically saying, you have forgotten where we came from. We suffered. We were so poor. Did you forget all those times you threw rocks at my window? With your 14-year-old George, John come out and hang out with us. Did you forget that we had no money for anything, that we worked 8-hour shifts 3 times a day over in Hamburg? Did you forget all of that? It was just amazing to see him tearing into how your ego can get carried away. And of course, John found out the Beatles broke up through the newspaper because Paul announced it without telling John. What are you doing? What is that?
So
what an outrage! It's an outrage.
Here's my big question.
Holy ego, Batman.
You guys are musicians, and I'm not. The hype machine will always have the Beatles almost as sacred figures.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. Okay.
Okay.
But do you consider them the greatest band of all time?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, musically, these guys advanced 100 years in the 10 they were together. I'm well aware of that.
Yep.
But at what point does the hype take over? There were plenty of great bands in that era.
There were. I don't believe that the others were as great as them, only because there's one thing that can't be rewritten. And if you actually ask other great peers, if you ask the Stones, if you ask the Who, if you ask guys like Phil Collins, they'll tell you, oh yeah, they were at the head of that train. They were. It's just a fact. You know what I mean? They were. And everybody was listening to what they were doing. You know what I found amazing? Jimi Hendrix, who I consider the greatest guitar player that ever plugged in a guitar, in my opinion. He's the most important to me. Okay. He was the most groundbreaking, changing in what he did. Oh my God, what a genius. He ran out and bought Sgt. Pepper's. Jimi Hendrix! I'm talking about Jimi Hendrix! He ran out and bought Sgt. Pepper's and premiered the tune live the next day. McCartney's in the audience. Sergeant Pepper's just came out, and he's like, "It was 20 years ago today." Yeah, baby. You know, like, are you kidding me? If this doesn't tell you what kind of respect level, never mind the hype machine or what the media tried to look. We've seen the documentation when they landed. You can't fake all those girls. You know what I mean? These guys were just groundbreaking musically. The sounds, sounds that when you look at 1962 and it's "Love Me Do" and it's the basic 3 chords, and by the end of 1970 it's like 8 years and it's "Long and Winding Road." Wow, I mean, we have gone from, and the different sounds that were conquered and explored, and everyone else copying. Come on, people copied, you know. They were inspired by it.
Right. They never rested on their laurels to keep putting out the same stuff. They just kept on getting
prolific.
deeper and deeper. I think they discovered...
And by the way, this takes away from none of the other great bands.
Oh, no.
The Who are forever. The Stones are forever. Jimi Hendrix is forever. Led Zeppelin is forever. These bands are forever, you know, to me.
Absolutely.
Leonard Skinner's forever, right, Jimbo? There we go.
I don't think as a drummer Ringo Starr could touch a Max Roach or an Art Blakey.
Well, that's
Jazz Masters.
yeah. Well, that's fair because I mean, what are we saying here? I mean, like, you know, Holy Buddy Rich man.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like those guys are just so. Gene Krupa.
You know,
oh my God!
funny,
What are we talking here?
Jimmy will probably you'll back me up on this. Like in the 1980s, you know, Eddie Van Halen started the whole tapping thing. He had all these copiers that were they could do it faster, better. They couldn't find a melody if you handed them one. You know, it's
try Larry Graham and Bootsy.
Sure,
they needed the melody.
Sure.
So,
well, Phil Collins had a great point about Ringo. Since I
love
how people always love to
thing.
bring up Ringo, and it makes me laugh. Actually, I actually laugh at it because it's so funny.
I'm not dismissing his skills. I'm just saying
Ringo Starr at the time when the Beatles realized that Pete Best was worst, okay, and they knew that Pete Best couldn't cut it. They wanted. Now they were left with a dilemma. They actually had an impending record deal. John, Paul, and George are ready to go, and they've got a record deal coming, but they have no drummer. We have to get a drummer. But after what we've been put through, because this guy was not good enough, Pete Best, we need a drummer. So what did they do? They went out and got the #1 drummer in the country of England. It's a big country. He was the biggest star drummer they knew of. He even had, and this was to them it was amazing, he had his name on the kit. And they were blown away by this. They were like, this guy's got his name on the kit. He's that great. Ringo was a professional. Oh, yeah, and what Phil Collins said best about him was, I dare anyone. And Phil Collins is a great drummer. Yeah. I don't know if you're aware of how great Phil Collins. You want to talk? He could play your jazz for you. He could. You know, he dared anyone to try to attempt to play Ringo's drums on A Day in the Life, drum note for drum note. I dare you.
I used to see.
He was saying Ringo's composing skills as a drummer were bar none. And it's true because Ringo's drums fit every single song the Beatles did perfectly because he was a composer.
Yeah,
composed his drums. You know what I mean?
But I used to see Max Roach, Andrew Cyrille, guys like this play solo drum concerts. They would do 50 minutes solo.
Sure.
They'd be playing the side of the drum, the floor, the wall behind them. It was amazing.
Right.
I mean, so, you know, I just think at some point the hype machine kicks in. And, he's the best drummer ever. He's the best this, the best that, the best
well,
this.
I don't.
It's hard to say best.
Yeah, I can't.
I can't argue with Hendrix. I mean,
you know, at the end of the day, if I'm forced to say certain guys or certain things, this is how I feel about Jimmy. Jimmy was the most important guitar player in the history of rock music. What are you gonna say?
I used to hear that hype machine all the time. Who was the best drummer? Was it Bonham? You know, who's the best guitar player?
I personally think John Bonham is my personal favorite. That's mine.
Some of the rock drummers, it almost became self-indulgent where they go off on a 27-minute solo.
Right.
You know, it was almost overkill.
Right, but what to you might be self-indulgent is not to me. Like, I dig Moby Dick. I like listening to John Bonham wail out the same way you would like to listen to the guys you were name dropping in the style that you dig. You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, John Bonham doing Moby Dick, that's a rock and roll classic. I mean, I love that.
I mean, there was only one time at a show that I just was losing it. I was watching the.
Was that the Grateful Dead?
It was the Allman Brothers, and they were at the beach, and the solo was just going on. I mean, it was going on for about 20 minutes, half an hour, and it was the same. All
the deadheads are twirling around in circles.
I'm gonna keep going for another. You get the idea with the two drummers. And I was just like, I think I closed my eyes for a second or two. I'm like,
Yeah, you woke up
there's
and
no
we're doing the
place
same
like
thing.
home. There's no place
Sounds like
home.
it sounds like Evan at a wrestling event, WWE wrestling event. I closed my
yeah,
eyes.
with the
The whole night was gone.
And speaking
Oh,
of which,
the
we're going
old
to talk
industry.
wrestling later in the show.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
Almost be a sin not to.
so tell us some career highlights with Stereo Hall. You work with some great producers and
Yeah. Well, Bart actually in the band before with Stereo Hall, Rockstars of America, he had worked with Jim Bonifant from Kool and the Gang,
wow.
and
I love the early Cool in the Gang.
yeah, he was on the good
before they
stuff
went
too,
to-
wasn't
yeah,
he?
he did like the
He did Celebration.
Ladies' Night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, Ladies-
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I dig them.
Emergency, that album. So they were all big, and that was just to bring in some studio professionalism. Like,
Now, how'd you meet Bonifant? Tell the story.
I went to a music store and I was buying some equipment. He was giving a lecture on different equipment, and we had just got to talking, and I gave him a CD. I didn't think I was going to hear from him. He listened to it. When I say a CD, are rough demos, and he heard something there. He wanted to schedule something, and I sat in his room for like hours, and he listened to every song that we had, and we picked out like 8 or 10 songs that he felt that he could help make into something. And
I was pretty
he was
impressed
a
when I
great-
got the phone call from him. He was
What-
like, "Hey, I got Jim Bonifant from Kool and the Gang." I'm like,
kinda
Cool in
like-
the Gang were huge in the 80s.
I did today. They
Well,
were
he-
gigantic.
he-
I was
he
like,
also-
"What the hell? How'd that happen?"
Working with a guy like that, teaches everything in the studio, and like what Jimbo
Yeah.
was doing over there behind the boards. and
Jimbo!
stuff. He gave me like when
Jimbo
I was
Bonifant.
done with him, I knew how
Jimbo
to
Bonifant Savali.
edit, mix. Like just working with
The
him, I
first.
learned how to edit, mix, what sounds good, what doesn't. It was a great
Right?
experience.
Yeah, you
And the
learned a
album-
lot. Absolutely.
All our music's online still. And we're coming out with a CD for ours, of course.
Mhm.
But the current band that we're in now, and the older stuff is
Right.
Anybody wants to hear Rockstars America, it's on YouTube. And
Are there
everything
other
like that.
members of the band or just duo?
Well, we had people play with us,
Okay.
long-time members and friends, but we're still involved
It's
with us.
ultimately become more of a studio Steely Dan situation.
Right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
But we
due
have
to
some-
logical circumstances, just that's the way it seems to work.
we had
for
actually,
us.
Eddie Kramer played a little bit on our, the famous Ed Kramer played some.
And for those who don't know, tell us who Eddie
Yeah,
Kramer
well,
is.
for Wisteria Hall, we decided to reboot after Rockstars of America and go with Wisteria Hall, and we
What
started
does the
to.
name signify?
Oy. Well, the name is based. It's named after Building 15 at the Kings Park Psychiatric Center. I knew someone who was someone important who was in Kings Park at one point, and I've always had a you have your soft spots for certain things that you feel people should recognize, and like the hell with ageism, for example. I'm with you on that
Yeah,
one.
We'll get into that in a
Yeah,
minute.
I'm
but
with you. I'm with you
I'll
on
let
that
finish
one.
meanwhile.
But I also feel that I feel like as we're getting older, like the elimination of psychiatric help, I feel like we're getting crueler and crueler to people who suffer mentally. So when I think about the days back on this person who meant a lot to me, who was there, and now the place is abandoned. It still stands there. It's like 22 years later. The whole city we go sometimes, and it's still abandoned. And these were nice buildings, Evan. These could have been colleges. These could have been apartments. These could have been anything. But instead, they just lie there abandoned. And sometimes I would go to Wisteria Hall and just like stare at it and think about the days when this very important person was a major part of my life, and I don't know, it causes me to reflect very deeply. Let's just put it that way. So when I suggested it to him, he thought it was great.
It sounded cool. I've been there, and that's why in the video we tried to show some of the Wisteria Hall, the buildings where they are now, some of our pictures from the past. I mean,
The building itself to me is almost like ironically reflective of somehow how life can be sometimes. You hit your peak, and then we all have our falling out or whatever. It all happens to all of us. I used to marvel at Joe DiMaggio. The guy lived to be 80 something, but for only 12 years he was a Yankee.
Right.
What about all those other years? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just amazing that you hit your zenith, and then look, it's a fact of life. But
I should mention.
so
that.
we came across Eddie Kramer as we decided, we were going to start doing the tunes.
I do want to mention that, like in the studio, we had the old friends help us play.
Oh yeah,
Rob Gorin on the bass.
absolutely. What a great bass
Rich-
player.
he's
Absolutely,
just a natural. Rich Chargin.
absolutely.
Is very creative with his
Very,
things.
very, very creative with those
Good
melodious.
friends. We played in Rockstars of America, and
Yeah,
we still consider them fondly. And
yeah.
Clift in Broadbridge.
Yeah.
He works with Eddie Kramer. He stepped in and did some guitar parts.
He's like a Canadian prodigy. You would love this guy. He could play all sorts of blues. Oh my God, he's like Eddie's protege almost.
Right.
You know, he's like the next
I think he had mentioned
with Hendrix.
Yeah,
you
he
know?
was doing like a Hendrix show by himself, playing and actually touring that.
It wasn't
He was
easy
that-
getting Eddie. It took us about a year to get Eddie.
Yes,
we
glad you
were like
mentioned that.
writing, calling. We would always get Amanda.
So
she
he
was very
respects
nice,
what
by
you're
the way.
doing.
Yeah, I guess if you
Yeah,
become,
we just
you know,
we just kept going, and people were laughing at us. They're like, "What are you doing? You're never
know.
how you gonna get Eddie Kramer?
Well,
you work with Zeppelin, you work with Hendrix. He's not gonna work with you."
It's the closest
You know?
thing to
We
Larry
managed.
Sabis- It's the closest thing to Larry Sabisco.
What? When he climbed the fence and asked Bruno to? Yeah, we were kind of doing that.
Kind of doing that.
You know,
And
we
finally
kind of
Bruno's
were.
like, all right, I'll help you out. Stop stalking me.
Wow.
So I
We
was
didn't do it that bad. We,
Yeah, we weren't
stopped.
stalking.
Not
I'm
at
kidding,
all.
I'm kidding.
Matter
but,
of fact, we left him alone for a couple of months, and
Yeah,
then
we
we just
were
sent one last flare,
Yeah.
just to see, like, hey man, any shot,
like listen to
you
it.
know? And then all of a
Thanks.
sudden, the phone call came. He's like, hey, okay, I could get you in. I like your songs. He likes our songs. Okay, So that was a great day. And then as we went through the recording process, he gave us other moments to be excited about. He plays tambourine on one of the songs. So it's nice. We got a legend playing on one of our tracks.
Okay,
you
so
know?
you have a legend on your tracks. You have a great production, great producing.
Oh, yeah.
On the CD.
Layering.
Oh, yeah.
Great songs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, so here's my big question:
Oy, here we go.
ageism. How does the fact that you guys aren't kids, how does this affect you in the industry? I mean,
Honestly, I think it sucks because, and look, it's nobody's fault as far as, on our end, we get, you get older, it happens. But what really bothers me is that it seems like I went away from the scene. There's a long story about my bands and where I came from, okay, and what I used to do and how I
you
would.
can give us the highlights.
Oh my God!
Or the low
I mean,
points.
okay. The bottom line is this: I started playing in the late '80s. My first gig was not in a bar or it's a side joint. It was in Sundance. It was in a major club back in the day in Bayshore. It was a big time heavy metal / rock club. Guns N' Roses played there, stuff like that. Anyway, I was in several bands during the '80s and '90s. Electric Sunset. Excellent, one of the top bands on Long Island, classic rock, and then War Dance. Good Time Magazine's 1995 Band of the Year. We were progressive rock. Oh, we were
Good Times, for those who don't know, it's a major
Yeah.
industry publication.
I'm telling you, once upon a time, we were making noise, and we opted out. I remember one time we made $800 for an hour. I was like, yeah, I mean, I actually got enough money, as Bart remembers, once upon a time when Farrell owned a pyramid. I actually had enough money from my band to get a house. I mean, it was going that good, And now I find, and Jimbo, what the hell, bro? Bands got to pay to play.
Pay to play.
If you're not in a tribute band,
tribute bands
no
seem
one
to be-
wants to hear you. This is what happened. I stepped away. I come back and I'm like, where is my rock scene? Where are the people? And the worst part is that the guys, your peers, they're all struggling too. I mean, some of them are so talented. Bobby Sexton, Electric Sunset, he's out there. He's doing the best he can. But my God.
Or the clubs won't pay you.
What happened?
They'll let you play, pass the hat around, sell your merchandise, but
Right.
they won't pay you.
Right.
I mean,
and we
I
both
guess-
know for a fact is record companies ain't going to look at, well, how old are these guys? That ain't,
I
know-
once pitched a 16-year-old to a record company, major record company. They said, we're looking for a 13-year-old like Justin Bieber to mold.
Oh, boy.
You know
I
what
tell
they
the story
say.
all the time. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
I think that there's a couple things though with music, and I just have to say this. And first, fortunately, I think we still look okay. I mean, as far as we don't look like what our age, which is a good thing. But
You look a hell of a lot better than Keith Richards.
Keith
Yes.
Richards.
Yes.
But I think
He was already
I think,
established. He could look like shit.
But it's interesting. Music can translate in different ways these days. People stream your songs, so publishing, use it in a commercial. Doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy used to say to me, the guy writing the not the Beastie Boys, the Backstreet Boys, like 50-year-old guy in a
Right.
in a robe writing songs. for
Right,
people.
the guy who
We
writes
could
for Britney Spears.
We could write many different styles.
Sure.
And we just like songs with hooks and compact, and they could be theme songs, deepness. And I just think that could translate at any age.
Oh,
would Warner
absolutely.
Brothers say, "Oh, we're going to put you on Disney"? Probably not.
You know what, though? We're trying to increase our odds by bringing a guy like Eddie Kramer in. We're trying to give an absolutely professional product. So this way we're minimalizing potential bullshit. You know, we're trying to give
commercials, this
people
TV,
like,
this
look,
video
what
games.
more do you want? You know what I mean? What are you after?
Use the songs. I mean, it's true. I mean, there's only so much we could do, but we try to minimize the the objections.
I have friends who are great artists, and they're not kids, like Lawrence Worrell, who's a relative to Bernie Worrell from Talking Heads and
Okay.
P-Funk. And
Okay.
he gets his music onto MTV, commercials, ringtones, whatever the case
Right.
may be.
Right. That's what
and,
we're- that's
and
kind of
he does
what we're-
quite well, and he does corporate
Right.
gigs because the clubs are dead, like you're
Right.
saying.
Honestly,
yeah.
Evan, that's kind of what we're shooting for at this point. At this age, at this point, we still have our goals. We're still swinging. We're not giving up. We're after TV, movies, stuff that will get our music into it.
And as always, I'd like to thank Jim Savali and Village Connection Radio, because not many stations would give indie
Right.
artists,
Right.
a 1 hour,
Jimbo!
2 hour forum. To
We got the
showcase
Jimbo
themselves.
smile for you
There is one
who can't
thing.
see him at home.
There is one thing we always talk about this too. What is there? 7 billion people in the world. These
Right,
days.
with all these people,
There's 7 billion
why
people
can't
in the world.
500,000 to
Give
1 million
me-
like our stuff?
Yeah, give me
It's
out of
fair.
that, out of the 500,000,
Right? There's a
2
billion people in the world. Just give us the
people
million.
that like
we're
good
good to go.
classic rock. Because I always hear like they don't make songs like that anymore. Well, here you go. Look at us up on
I tell
Reverb
people-
Nation. We're on iTunes.
Yeah, I
Got to
tell
be a
people
million
all the
Jimbos
time.
out there. I need a classic
music.
rock tune. I need a new classic rock tune.
Yeah. I wanna
Support
hear classic rock.
independent artists
Right.
and find music that you love, because it is out there.
Right.
Like,
And I don't
like
think-
with Stereo Hall.
And I don't think it doesn't sound like we're trying to copy some old sound. Like, do we sound just like the Beatles? It just comes out of us
No,
naturally.
it's just
It's
an
like you said, all the
influence.
influences come out. So you're having a fresh classic rock tune. It's rock, no doubt. But the way we feel, it's like you said, we're swinging. Use it for something. If you like it, just listen and tell us that you like it.
Yeah, we do killer work in the studio. I mean, we got a whole nother record lined up after this. A lot of it's
tell
already
us about
recorded.
your next CD.
Well, it's going to be a little bit different as far as it's not as poppy.
But it has some pop in it.
But it has plenty of pop in it.
Yeah.
It's just not as poppy, but it still has plenty of pop. I think we're maturing, is what I'm trying to tell you.
There you go.
But we're always gonna in our songs we don't
You
stick
know?
around. We don't stick around too long.
No,
We aren't
no.
gonna be bored. We do try to always maintain melody and some hook in there, but like you said, some of the themes might go a little deeper into the pool, as Jimmy likes to say.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
and some of them are just straight up, rock. A lot of times you hear these rock tunes and they sound happy, and then you hear the words and they may not necessarily be as happy as you think.
Right. And speaking of not happy, Jimmy truly believes in the show must go on, because you're in tremendous pain today. Tell us about that.
yeah. Unfortunately, I have a history of leg problems, and about 6 years ago, I was in like a year or so rut where I could barely walk. I had all these bone spur issues, and last night at about 11:30, I woke up and those pains had come back. I'm like, what the hell? It's been 5 years. What are you doing? I've been busy dealing with other pains. You got some nerve showing up.
Perfect timing.
And of course, immediately Evan Ginzburg pops into my mind, because I'm like, this is one teacher you don't want to call in late for or sick.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I got to go to Evan's show tomorrow. There's no way I'm getting out of this one. So I was like, oh boy.
I appreciate it, and I just want to say something. We were talking about age before. What I found is my older guest, and I don't mean old, but my older guest, they respect the show must go on.
Yeah.
Mentality. Whereas younger people go, "Oh, my ride fell through. I took a
This guy
train.
called that a bed.
I took a train
Oh.
to the Long Island Railroad to a bus to get here today." So
Have I ever asked you why you don't have a car? Why don't you have a car?
I'll explain that.
I would love to know.
I've owned 3 cars, but I've never enjoyed it. My father was a taxi driver, and he
Okay.
died young. And I always associate
Great
cars.
but his dad. What?
I always associate cars with stress and
Okay,
expense.
okay.
Because my father died young.
That is not a
And
glorious
he
life.
drove 14
Cab
hours a
truck.
day, 6
Right.
days a week.
Right.
And I think because of that, I just never liked cars.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's
At
pretty
least that-
deep.
that's
That's not what I expected.
That's what I'm
Okay.
I
guessing.
thought you were going to say because you lived in and they don't have any parking or something around there.
No, I just
Oh.
I lived
even
right
when I
near-
owned cars, I didn't enjoy it. I would like drive it to the subway.
Evan,
Cars are a pain in the ass.
I lived a few blocks away where you live, and I had parked my car out there, and it was gone the next day.
Yeah,
Great.
It's because they drive it right onto the LI.
Oh, Lenny Poffo
Yeah.
took it.
The police found the guy, and here's the worst part: the police stripped it down in the parking lot. All the tires were gone.
Wow.
They like had like these are my tires.
Yeah.
This is not mine.
Oh,
They do.
my
So they're
God.
like somehow the shop,
Aren't you glad they found it?
they found it and they pronounced it dead. Thankfully, because I
Wow.
couldn't get involved in that car again.
Oh, that's bad.
That's bad.
Ugh.
So plug whatever you want to plug, because when we come back later, we're going to talk wrestling. But plug your CDs, your
Well-
social media.
On social media, we're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music,
And spell Wisteria Hall.
WISTERIAHALL, and
And
we
it's
are
2 words.
Wisteria Hall, 2 words, good point. And we
Like
are
the
coming-
flower.
And for people who still like CDs, I still like CDs. We're coming out with
What's
one
a
of those.
CD?
Yeah.
You know, because I missed that. You
Yeah.
want something to, you know, I love having something to look at. We'll have
Yeah,
the lyrics
it's like
and
a
stuff
book.
like that. Reverb
I like to hold a book. I like to hold a newspaper. I like to
Right.
hold a CD.
Right.
on Reverb Nation.
I agree.
On Reverb Nation, we have every one of our songs to check out with a little biography. And
Yeah, if you like classic rock, if you like sweet harmonies, if you like melodicism and that style,
If you like the set that you heard at the start of this
you're
show.
gonna love this. You
yeah,
know?
very proud of what we did. And as Jimmy says, we have like the next CD coming out, and that's gonna take more work. So
Sure.
we're getting this one done.
Sure.
And then we hope to promote it a little bit, and we hope to, like I said, see
We
our
will be
songs on
back
our
with Eddie
professional
pretty
media.
much for the next one too, or Eddie's camp.
Wow.
So it's looking good.
There you go. So what we're going to do is play a couple of independent artist music videos.
Nice.
I believe our engineer Jim Savali has that set up, and we'll play 2 or 3 of those. And when we come back, we're going to talk wrestling
Excellent.
with Jimmy Farrow and Bart Griggs, 2 huge wrestling fans. And
Thank you.
I was at the USA Pro Show yesterday, so
I'm
I'll give
jealous.
people the summary of that 25th anniversary.
Good deal.
So here we go. Here's some live music videos in just a second or two.
Please stand
Anyway,
by.
We're experiencing.
We're experiencing
stand by.
technical difficulties. What time is it?
Live radio.
Wait, Evan. What time is it? Do you know where your children are?
Yeah,
Remember that?
yeah, I do.
Come
remember
on, those
that.
were the days.
Ne-
Those were the
There we
days.
go.
I got a story I'm gonna tell. Down in Mississippi, the blues are doing well. Drinking and gambling in the juice all night. The catfish and chicken wings, they're out of sight. But that's the way, that's the way, that's the way of the blues. Boy, you see, that's the way, that's the way, that's the way of the blues. When you're having this much fun, tell me how can you lose? Or tell me, now dig this right here. From all over the world, the people they come down to Mississippi where the blues was born. Oh yeah. We play the blues both day and night. We won't stop, not even for a fight. But that's the way, that's the way, that's the way of the blues. Oh yeah, baby, you see it. That's the way, that's the way, that's the way of the blues. a story, and it's all true. Down in Mississippi, we'll play the blues for you. We'll juke for you. We'll jam for you. We'll juke for you. Oh, we'll jam. See, juking and jamming is what we do. We don't mind playing the blues for you. Oh no, baby.
Cause I can't get your face. It's off my mind. No, I can't get your face off my mind.
There is a time, there is a place for everything.
Oh, I'm in, and you're in, and we're in this together.
You took me all the way. Now I know what love's sweet.
Gotta get back to you. Gotta see your face again.
Since I saw you, even though I didn't know you.
Dream, baby, dream. The world is still brand new.
Non riesco più a farne a meno perché sono pazzo di te.
Come fly with me, we hold the key to our togetherness.
Watch me melt some knees. Oh, baby, won't you take me, please?
You've got the love I want. You've got the love I need.
We didn't even take the time to say it's over.
Don't say it's gone. Don't you say it's gone.
You came so unexpectedly. Ella vive en un mundo de placer, con su cuerpo de hacer lo que sé. Me tiene loco y mareado, me tiene intoxicado. Mientras su cuerpo se mueve, mis ojos también. Baila, 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 bailarina, que me estoy perdiendo en fantasía. Baila, 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 bailarina, que me estoy olvidando de la vida. Mi corazón resonando en mi pecho, palpitando al ritmo de su cuerpo. Se me calienta la sangre y se me secan los labios, se me anudan los ojos de tanta emoción. Estoy loco en pasión. Baila, 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 bailarina, que me estoy perdiendo en fantasía. Baila, 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 bailarina, que me estoy olvidando, que me estoy
acercó con ojos llenos de fuego, me miró. Su voz como una caricia, suave como una brisa, me agarró de la mano y me sacó a su baile de amor.
Cooley High. Yeah, right. Whatever. Sure. Okay. Check it out. I'm in Brooklyn, baby, don't forget the gravy. Otherwise I leave the joint hot like Hades. Maybe I'll leave it cold like the poles. Take a pic, hit you with the greatest stories. Told from a dude, not rude, but rather charismatic. Dope on the beats and the vocal apparatus. 20,000 leagues when it comes to the thought. Did a little dirt, but I never got caught with nothing serious, imperious sound. Cognac, give me cup is how I get down. Ignite trees up with the brain on ease. He does it when you do that, please. Now, if you still trying to understand why people simply call me Cooley, I'm Cooley, I'm Cooley, I'm truly. How you doing? Good to see you again, my friend. Got trees, meet me around the bends, and there's smoke signals to your synapse. Reaction to the track got you bouncing like that. Sun, moon, and stars. Hold on, we ain't even dealing with the planetary problems. Always wanna point them out, but never wanna solve them. Dudes wanna rob them, blind like a calcified third eye word. I read the good books about crooks and schnooks that would kill you with meat hooks. Please look in the right direction. You stepping in the pile of doo-doo that's bigger than you. Now, if you hear me in a cypher freestyling, it might just be that Coolies, that Coolies, that Coolies. I'm truly off the herbs and the music don't abuse. More better than a letter by a lady singing blues with no shoes on, playing foosball at the mall. Dudes only know how to act like an animal when they witness the phone Satan sound. Bass ground jump on the paint, jump around. Cell phone keys and junk shaking in their pocket. Chicks in the mix wanna plug up in their socket. You can front if you want, but you know what the deal is. You think about it just as much as that's. So how you feeling? With your hands standing for the right, don't find the feeling. Dudes need the love, stop the hitting and the killing. If you hear me dropping theories, you probably be like, hey yo, that's Cooley, that's Cooley, that's Cooley. I'm truly off life or whatever floats your boat. If you're feeling sick, you need the antidote. One layer won't do, you need another coat. Now submit that to your CD grace notes. So your CD database, step up to the database of music. Choose it if you need it for amusement. Ringling Mario, once again, brother from another mother. Uncle better have my money. Like Todd said, you out the shady, you sunny. Better be clever about the weather, you big dummy. Cultivated by the West, yes, you think it's funny, cause you don't give a fool, mind you about who. But if you still trying to figure out who I am, yo, just ask. I'm Cooley, I'm Cooley, I'm Cooley High.
All right, we are back at the Evan Ginzburg Show, as always, showcasing great independent artists. That was Bill and Shy Perry, The Way of the Blues, followed by Edwin Vasquez, Ballerina, followed by a Cooley High promo reel. So that's from blues to Latin jazz to hip hop and R&B. And we're back with Wisteria Hall, Jimmy Farrow, and Bart Griggs. And the three of us share something in common. We are avid, lifelong wrestling fans. And the Monty and the Farrow show.
Wait. You guys like wrestling?
Yeah. All the context clues indicate this. Considering I was at a 4-hour show last night.
Yeah.
And before we get into that, I just want to once again plug Monty and the Pharaoh. Thursdays, 8:05. Shout out to Mike Monty, who's not here. And tell us about Monty and the Pharaoh.
Oh, it's just an awesome program. We're on every Thursday, 8:05, as you said, to 9:05 approximately on Village Connection Network, Facebook Live. We usually recap the week in WWE when we don't have an awesome guest coming on, which is what we seem to be having a lot of lately. We've had a lot of great guests.
Bob Orton Jr., Lanny Poffo, Greg Valentine. Who am I forgetting?
Oh, I don't know. The list just keeps getting longer and longer. Val Venus was on recently. Beretta from New Japan Ring of Honor. Yeah, Trent Beretta.
Also, you've had a lot of great indie stars on. Simply Splendid Bobby C.
My fave.
Yes, Christopher Michaels.
Yep.
Let's not forget, Dr. D.
Dr. D.
David Schultz.
We had Dr. D in house. Dominic DeNucci's been here.
Shane Douglas.
Shane Douglas is awesome. That was great.
How do you say DeNucci's name again?
Dominic DeNucci.
There you go.
That's how you say it.
Michael Capetta.
Even Joe McHugh would do that. Dominic DeNucci.
I have a great DeNucci memory.
Do you?
I was at the Garden, and the executioners, my friend Killer Kowalski,
nice,
and John Studd, were wrestling Dominic DeNucci, and of all people, Jose Gonzalez.
Okay.
Who ultimately, the whole Bruiser Brody scenario.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy match, and they bloodied up Jose Gonzalez, who was like carried out, and then he runs back in with a towel wrapped around his head, covered in blood.
Okay.
It was wild.
Really?
It was a wild match. Yeah.
Executioners. Well, I'm assuming won that match. Yeah, okay.
But I once saw the Executioners wrestle Strongbow and White Wolf at Sunnyside Gardens. It was 45 minutes, 2 out of 3 falls, no air conditioning. I thought the fans were going to die. Kowalski was like a machine. He just kept going.
Nice.
Kowalski was
Who won that match? I like the details.
I honestly don't remember because it was like
2 out of 3
years
falls.
Ago. Yeah.
That sounds like a war.
Yeah,
Billy White Wolf and Chief Jay were very popular.
I used to see Strongbow and Bruno wrestle the Valiants headlining the Garden.
Okay.
And the building would vibrate.
Yeah.
The building would shake.
Yeah, the Valiants were
Strongbow
great.
was so over.
This is all 70s stuff, too. You were just ahead of me.
Yeah.
I didn't get to enjoy
I started going in 74. I started watching in 72.
Right.
So I've been going to wrestling for 44 years.
Right.
So people wonder why I'm jaded. Like I was watching All In, and I'm like, the only match I thought was quote unquote great was Penta and Kenny Omega.
That was great.
I didn't think anything else was great. I thought everything else was very good.
You know what I really enjoyed? And no, not the aftermath with the penis druids.
Right.
I thought that Adam Page and Joey Janela had a good match.
Yeah.
I thought that was
But
a
I
really good
wouldn't qualify it
match.
as great.
No, okay, I got you.
What do you think is better, NXT or that All In?
I thought NXT from top to bottom was a better show.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
And let me just say this: I have nothing but respect for the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes. I'm a huge Young Bucks fan.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think Cody Rhodes is that Ric Flair or prime Ric Flair or Kurt Hennig or Randy Savage or Ricky Steamboat level performer.
No.
But the Young Bucks are unbelievable.
You're talking in ring, of course. You're talking in ring, of course. Their ability in the ring, of course.
Yeah, I don't think Cody Rhodes is that level of a performer.
No.
Cody Rhodes is always good for that 3 to 4 star match.
Fair.
Every match.
That's fair.
Really worth seeing.
That's
but
fair.
He's not that great. Do
you feel like his personality is even stronger now on the independent?
I love
it. Yeah. He totally reinvented himself.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. He's making more money than in WWE, and it's a different path for people to go, and the merchandising is great. The other side of it, as an old school fan, and I say this ad nauseum, I don't appreciate having $200 and $300 ringside tickets for shows. I think that's gotten out of control.
Yeah.
I think you're excluding
Yeah.
working people. Try taking your wife and 2 kids to a wrestling show when tickets are 50 to 200 or 50 to 300.
Right.
You know, it's gotten out of hand. That's the negative of this alternate path, but
And people are paying it though, and that I don't know where they're getting the money
people
for
are
it.
paying it, but
I don't
it's
agree. I
also
agree with you.
eliminating-
I
it's eliminating certain parts of the fan base that just
Right.
can't afford it.
Right.
Some people just don't have it.
right.
I say the same thing with concerts.
Right.
I went to see the other night Willie Nelson and Van Morrison. Tickets were $85 to $250. Okay, now people were like, "That was a great show," and I'm like, "Well, it damn well should be for $250 a ticket."
Was it a great show?
I thought it was very good.
Okay. How's
You're
Van
sitting-
holding
you're
up?
sitting in the pouring rain.
How's
and-
Van holding up?
Vocally, he's not what he was.
Okay.
Neither is Willie.
Don't you-
But for their age, they were excellent.
Don't you find it ironic that you paid so much less money when they were in their prime, and now you pay a fortune and they're not in their prime?
My friend
It's
threw
like,
me-
what
my
is
friend threw me
going
the
on? It
tickets,
just
so I didn't
seems
pay
so
anything.
wrong. Oh, you know what I'm saying though? It's
Yeah.
just like, what were the Eagles charging before? Their last time around before.
Right.
It was like,
Back at the
what?
Coliseum,
You want me to pay you what to hear you like
$29.
struggle through lion
Well,
eyes?
the
That's
perfect
not going to
example-
happen, man.
You guys are musicians. The
Yeah.
perfect example is Clapton. You're gonna pay $500 to see Clapton? It's ridiculous.
Monty has the over 50 rule. Did you ever hear that rule?
What's that?
It's if you're a musician and you're over 50, you're not allowed to play in front of people anymore.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
I knew where we could have
Yeah.
it going with that one. That's Monty's 50 and over theory. And I said to him, like, what do you mean? I'm over 50. He goes, time to retire. I'm like, oh my God.
Go
Brutal.
see,
That's my partner.
Go see Larry Graham, who's 73. Go see
Hilarious.
Bobby Rush, who's 84.
Right.
These guys have
right.
energy.
Some guys
like
hold
they're
up.
20.
Some
You know, it's
guys hold
interesting.
up. Some guys don't.
We were watching like Mick Jagger recently, and
Right.
he's still running around.
75,
He
right?
Yeah.
he needs the crowd's help to sing a little bit, but he's
still getting it done.
You
getting
see,
it
the
done.
real
Still
pros,
getting it done.
the real pros, if you know what you're watching, they'll do their 30, 40 minutes. All of a sudden, the backup singer takes over a number, and they're in the back getting oxygen
yeah.
or whatever.
Drum solo.
yeah.
But
Sure.
but they could pull it off. They
Sure.
could pull it off.
Sure. I've even watched them. Like, what band were we watching? Maybe I'm not going to be able to remember it right now, but we were watching one of the famous old bands, and they took one word out of the chorus to make the breathing easier.
Wow.
And I was like, did you catch that? And he was like, what? I'm like, they took out the word witch or whatever it was. They just pulled out one word, and the choruses were like a little shorter, a little more, I don't have to breathe as much. It was brilliant, by the way, and the song still carried the weight.
The
I
other
can't
side
remember
of
what
it-
song it
The other
was.
side of it is, I'll go see somebody like Patti LaBelle. I love R&B.
Okay.
She's 73.
Right.
And I'll go, the 2018 Patti isn't the 1978
Well, she's kind of
Patti.
cornered herself.
But-
How do you get away with,
But
she's,
she's still better than 90% of anybody else out
the
there.
garbage out there,
You see
right?
what I'm saying?
Right.
So you
Right.
could hear they've lost a
Right.
note or two,
Right.
and it's just natural. And then you have the exceptions to the rule. Somebody like Smokey Robinson, who now sings like a jazz singer.
Okay.
He's probably better at 78. 78.
He looks like he's 48.
Yeah.
he's
He's had some good work
he's
done, I'm
still-
assuming,
Oh, he's
but,
had a lot of work done.
But still, he looks damn good for
He
78.
does. He does. I
he
love.
able
I
to-
love Smokey Robinson.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think he's
great.
actually gotten better.
Oh,
Paul Rogers.
He's great.
From Bad Company.
Yeah.
Blues
Oh, what a
rock
vocalist.
My
singer.
friend was
He's
raving about him.
still-
Saw him the other night.
oh, he's got such a
still-
pair of pipes, Paul Rogers.
And such a nice gentleman. I saw him play in
Oh.
a small place, and he's just like so
He's-
down to earth with
he's
everybody.
great.
That was when they let you smoke in a club, and there was people smoke. He's like, would you do me a favor? Please don't smoke near the stage. I'm sitting there smoking. That was too, I didn't feel confident enough.
Oh,
to
this
go
is
over
a,
there and kill
a,
them.
a flashback from days
Yeah,
past.
Just not too long ago, but
Put
long
the
enough.
cigarette out.
Yeah,
Who's smoking in a club? Where was this?
It was.
You can't smoke inside ever again. What building were you in?
Paramount, where
Oh, you could do
Playview
that?
No, not
There's a
anymore.
Back in
smoking
the
session.
day,
I guess.
not
I guess
now.
it
This
is
must
back
have
in
been
the
a
day.
while
Yeah,
ago,
yeah,
dude. You can't even go anywhere
Might
with
have
a
been
cigarette
week
now.
before Shane was born,
By the
so
way,
we're
that was
talking year 2000. Oh my goodness.
that was one of the biggest reasons, believe it or not, why I started to get away from performing at clubs. Because look, I'm a very
Smoke will kill you.
but I'm the opposite. I'm a performer who smoked on stage.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so for me it was like, holy Bob Dylan, you're taking away my blood. Like, what are you doing? I'm supposed to stand here and just look at you now? I want my cigarette.
He's got a cigarette on
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm just supposed to just stand here and I'm like, let me get this straight. You're gonna serve me a beer inside a bar. It's still, to me, I haven't accepted it. Still to this day, you're gonna serve me a beer inside a bar and you're gonna tell me I can't light up.
So you're probably
Oh
not
my
a big
God!
fan
Why
of
don't you just give me the bacon without the eggs? I don't get it at all. It's a bar. If you don't want to smell that, then go to a non-smoking bar. Can't we have smoking bars? Why can't we have smoking bars? If you don't want to go to a smoking bar, go to a non-smoking bar. Let us poison ourselves in peace. Jeez.
This is a public service message.
Yeah.
Jimmy,
How to
And
kill
don't
yourself
forget
by
when
Jimmy
had a debate.
when Baron von Monty makes his special appearances, you get a free pack of cigarettes. Don't forget that.
don't forget. Well, actually,
Right,
we made
Jimbo?
just a side note, quick. Like a couple years ago, we made a video for one of our songs that we did in the other band, and there was a scene we were working with and Jimmy was smoking.
Yeah.
Just he wasn't sitting there. He just,
Listen,
smoking,
we're
blew
a
it out.
rock band.
So the guy
Okay,
showed us.
can I
so the
just
guy-
say that? Go ahead.
So the guy showed us a
Rock band.
a sample of the video, and Jimmy's like, "Why is the cigarette there?" He's like, "I don't believe in smoking or to show smoking anywhere."
He cut out the parts of the video where I was smoking a
It was
cigarette
just
by the
one. It was
pond.
just one. He was just sitting there,
And it
looking
happens to be a cool scene.
It looked cool.
Leave it alone.
Wow.
You know, I mean, the Marlboro Man was cool too. I hate to break it to you. Leave it alone. And he cut it out. He's like, I don't approve of smoking. I'm like, put it back in. And it went back in.
Right. It wasn't that. I mean, if you're not
Stop
you're not
already.
We're gonna do the pro and con. My grandfather died.
Look,
a
I'm not
horrible
saying
death
it's
from lung
good for
cancer.
you. I'm just saying, you know.
Anyway,
I don't smoke.
Hey.
I just want to.
Yeah, he doesn't
I just
smoke,
want
I
to
don't
address.
judge who does.
Hey, Ralph, do you mind if I smoke? I don't care if you burn.
As long as it's not blown in my face.
I still have guilt. We used to buy my grandfather boxes of cigars. The guy died of lung cancer.
Look at you.
I mean, Evan, you grew up in a culture where they were all smoking cigarettes. Did they all?
yeah.
They all keel off from the same thing. They all died from the same thing. All the smokers you knew.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes a
It's-
guy's 350 pounds. He smokes and drinks. He dies at 97.
That's what I'm saying. There's like no
as
pure
long as-
formula
as long
here.
as I
I'm
don't
sorry.
Have to smell it and be in my face.
Oh, I'm very,
And
And
I'm
there are
very
people
polite
who
about
die
it.
That's
of
what I'm saying. That's
lung
all.
cancer who never smoked.
Right.
That's true, too.
Right.
I mean,
I'm very
that's
and I'm
crazy.
very polite about it. I'll never smoke in his car. I never smoke in Monty's car. He'd throw me onto the highway. Hey, what
I
are you
will say
doing,
this:
guys?
since
You know?
this is a rock-oriented show, if Keith Richards outlives me, I'll be pissed off.
Keith Richards
Anyway.
may outlive all of us.
That's right. He's going to be
With
around
Bob
with the
Dylan.
cockroaches
With Bob Dylan.
after the nuclear holocaust.
I'm telling you. That guy's got staying power, man. It's crazy. What about Jimmy Page? Didn't he have 2 full body transfusions from heroin? I mean, what's he doing still alive? He's still out there.
A head transplant.
At least good.
Holy stairway to heaven.
Anyway, I just want to
Anyway,
briefly
I was gonna
address USA Pro's 25th
yes.
anniversary reunion because this was a special event.
Nice.
And it was a 4-hour show, which for Frank
Okay.
Goodman was short. Usually they ran a lot
Okay.
longer than that.
How was that old sweat box? I remember it gets so damn hot.
It was sweltering
Oh.
to the point where
Sportatorium, I think. Was it the Sportatorium?
NYWC Sportatorium
Right.
out in Deer Park.
Deer Park, right.
I would say more than half the people left before the main event.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It's like a
hot?
sweat
It was
box. Oh,
sweltering.
dude. And it's sardine-like in there.
Yeah.
It gets to be like sardines.
And I was sitting surrounded by like sweaty, smelly fat guys. So
Nice.
it wasn't
Typical
ideal either.
Would you
but,
please?
but the show itself,
My God.
Homicide versus James Storm, tremendous. James Storm from
Nice.
TNA, great.
Nice.
Pope Elijah Burke against Bull James, also great.
Okay. How's Bull James looking?
He's a big boy, but he can move.
Okay.
He can move, and
Okay.
it was both very, very good matches.
Okay.
Again, great is a different level. Great is Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair. I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, yeah.
But 2 really, really worthwhile matches.
All right.
And my buddy Lowlife Louis Ramos, who loves to mutilate himself and
Louis.
brings out, every imaginable depraved object to do it with, including dildos. He uses dildos
great.
during the wrestling match.
What is,
Oh, my God.
what? I can't believe him.
Versus Matt Tremont.
What, in what form did he use the dildo?
He just stuffs it down the guy's throat. He's insane. That guy's insane.
He didn't put it
A
in his ear
hardcore
or
match.
anything like that, you know?
No, not in his ear.
Okay, all right.
But he's like a mad genius. He's like a mad
He
genius.
sounds like a mad genius.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'd just like to say for those who don't know, Greek god Papadon, getting back to ageism, this guy is a tremendous, tremendous worker with a great gimmick and great shape. I can't imagine why this guy's not in WWE or TNA. It must be age.
How old is he
I
now?
would say he's 40-ish. I don't know
Okay.
exactly to the to the day, but
And did I read this right? Did I hear you? Was Mr. Big a face last night?
yeah, he came out with one of the
How did-
girls, and the girl
Really?
was the face, yeah.
Wow, that's a bold.
So he's like patting her on the back, you know, like it's like a whole. I never saw him like this. He's like, the sensitive guy.
Yeah,
yeah.
I dig Mr. Big.
Mr.
I think
Big's
that's
awesome.
I
He's
think
a great
that's
talker.
very, very, very
It's
cool.
like a day off when he's on the show. I just sit back and he talks.
Great
you know?
voice, great
Yeah.
voice. Oh my God, that's a voice for radio.
He's colorful.
Yeah, he is.
So
Did you hear this? Mr. Big is a voice for radio. I've been telling this guy for a year since I've been here.
Yep.
He should do a show on Village
His
Connection.
voice
He'd be
is
perfect.
magic. I love his voice. I think he's got a
And the
great
guy's a
speaking
great
voice.
talker.
Absolutely.
And he's funny, and he's intelligent, and he knows his pop culture.
Yep.
So it's not just wrestling.
And I love his aura. You mess with me, get a 5-knuckle sandwich.
I've had this discussion with people. There are some people, they're so obsessed with wrestling, it's the only thing they talk about.
Mm.
Within an hour, I'm bored out of my mind. It's like, what about that angle on Raw? I go, it was stupid.
Right.
And then they just keep talking like it's high art.
Right. Yeah.
It's like they can
I don't
wear
know.
you out after a while.
I get a little nerdy, but I don't. I think I'm with you. I don't think I can talk about it
wear you
for
out.
7 hours.
I got to ask you about that again. There was some elements of hardcore. It wasn't all hardcore, but there was enough. The hardcore matches.
Oh no, it was a hardcore match.
yeah.
Louis Ramos was pouring blood.
No,
He
he's
had a
asking.
white T-shirt. He soaked
He's
in
asking
blood.
you had different styles last night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they
amongst the matches.
Yeah, Dan Moff and Jesse
Dan
Neal
Moff.
had a hardcore match.
You know Dan Moff.
No blood, but they were hitting each other
Yeah.
with everything in sight.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was a wild show. I mean,
Was Bobby C there last night?
Bobby C wasn't there, but
Michaels
so
didn't
Christopher
ma-
Michaels wrestled a
He
tag
did.
match with Homicide's relatives.
Okay.
He was wrestling guys like more than half his age, and
Really?
and he could keep with them.
Well, he's gotten himself in some shape.
Yeah.
Recently. So.
Sir Christopher Michaels is awesome. And
Awesome.
speaking of that, let me not forget our sponsor SWF and Sir Christopher Michaels set that up.
Nice.
They returned to the Boonton, New Jersey Elks Lodge, and that's October 20th, featuring the Sandman. Sandman was there yesterday, and I had beer like spit all over me.
Oh,
so,
jeez. Does the Sandman put people to sleep? Sandman?
He usually drinks a lot of beer and smacks you over the head
okay.
with a cane.
Yeah, he hits you over the head with a cane.
Yeah, and smokes. Was he smoking a cigarette? Did they let him?
I don't remember that.
Because he always came out with chimpo. He'd come out with a lit cigarette in his mouth. He was great.
After 15 matches,
And
it's hard
after
to
banging
remember
some
the
beer
details.
cans on his head.
But
Yeah, he used to.
Did he do the beer can thing? On his
Yeah,
head?
he used to do.
Yeah.
That's probably how you got covered when he was doing the
I
beer
was just
can.
covered in beer.
How
so
did he look, by
my
the way?
wife's like, "Why do you
How
smell
did
the beer?"
Sandman's conditioning look? How's he look?
He looked better, actually.
Okay.
He looks like
I'm
he's
just
taking care
curious
of
how he's
himself.
holding up.
Yeah. And so October 20th, Boonton Elks Lodge, SWF, TJ Marconi, your buddy,
Yeah.
my buddy, versus Vinny Cenzo, and
Vinny
Waylon
Cenzo.
Cage versus Fury, Astro Morales versus Tommy the Moose, Chris Banks versus Manti. That's a rematch. It was a great match last
Chris
month.
Banks.
And the Sandman. So October 20th, Boonton Elks SWF, and we thank them for their sponsorship. And so what are you guys watching? You watching the big pay-per-view tonight, Hell in the Cell?
Yeah, I'll be tuning in.
Try not to sound too excited. Yeah.
You know what it is I don't think they did the greatest job of really selling this one to us, to be very
I
honest.
never need to see Randy Orton again, ever.
There he
ever.
goes with Randy. Oh
Good
my
thing Cowboy
God.
Bob's not here.
I know, it's
He was
just
here last week.
unbelievable.
What did Cowboy Bob say about him? That he's the best in the business? What he said?
No, he didn't say that.
He said
Would
something
you
glowing
please?
about Randy Orton. What
No,
was
he
it?
didn't. I thought he was I thought he was pretty accurate about what he said
What did
about
he say?
Randy.
I don't remember.
He said that Randy, because Mike was asking about Mike's skills, Matt's skills, and Bob was very honest. Bob felt his own mic skills were at the bottom.
That's why they teamed him with Piper. They were perfect together.
And Bob was sufficient and solid in the ring, though. Bob was good in the ring.
Bob
He
was great in the
yeah,
ring.
that's what I'm saying.
Bob was as great as anybody.
So, and I'll give my own opinion on Randy. I think you already know my opinion on Randy, but so he asked Bob, Mike or Matt, or what matters more, blah, blah, blah. Then we talked about Randy, and he said that Randy's mic skills they're simple, they're to the point. He gets in and he gets out. He usually doesn't overstay his welcome on his promos.
That's fine.
I agree with him. I think that
My
Randy.
problem is him in the ring.
Right.
He phones it in half the time.
See, I don't know what that means. I've always had a trouble with, okay, at which spot are you identifying that Randy's not trying? That to me is that's such a strong charge. Hey, wait a minute! Right there! He's not trying!
He does. You can't tell me he works as hard as AJ Styles. Come on.
Yeah, but the fact that you're actually going there, I say come on to you. Because AJ Styles, you just compared a slow-rolling tank to a magic carpet.
But it's a choice.
I mean, AJ Styles is like, what are we talking here?
I think with Randy Orton, he plays up his apex predator, like a cat or a snake.
I think Randy plays his character very well.
Right, it's not like a cool way of going about it.
You know what's funny?
He's the king of the 2.5-star match.
I've always likened him to like the old westerns. He's just like a Clint Eastwood. He comes, he does what he does, and he goes.
Was great. Randy puts on mediocre matches.
All right, well, if that's how you feel about it, I think I've seen some good matches with Randy.
You be the deciding vote.
Bart's the deciding vote.
I definitely get where Randy could be a little more of a snooze for some people, but I do get the fact that he is playing himself as the Viper, and a Viper kind of like coils up and makes a strike, and that's what kind of he does with his RKO out of nowhere, or that move.
He does the same 5 moves every match.
It's true.
Tedious.
I mean, there's other people. There are other people who would.
I
mean, I love.
There's a ton of them.
We love Nakamura, Samoa Joe, which is like my favorite. People who
I love Samoa Joe.
Yeah,
I love
Joe
Nakamura.
too.
He's got the
Randy
mic,
Orton doesn't do it for me.
Right.
I just
get
with the
that.
charisma and stuff.
I think they've taken Daniel Bryan down a notch.
Oh,
He's
they
not
have.
What he was.
I don't know what's going on with that.
He's like a mid-card guy now.
They
destroyed him.
I have no idea what that is. I can't stand what they did with that. They had such potential magic the way they were building up the Miz and him. What a letdown. That's terrible.
The Miz has improved.
Yeah, the Miz has been.
I was never a big fan, but he's gotten much better.
The Miz is extremely entertaining. Yeah. He's been for quite a while.
He's a great talker, and he's gotten better in the ring.
With the Hell in the Cell, we usually will bank in on a few matches that would be, outrageous. But all I keep on hearing is these mixed matches with the husband and wife, or the wrestler and the manager.
These do absolutely nothing for me.
So it's the boy girl. I can't. I know.
And they never did.
Matches do nothing.
I can't
it just
stand
looks to
them.
me like that's the time to go get popcorn or whatever.
Yeah.
Grilled steak.
Randy Orton is when I take my break, bathroom snack.
See what it's on the real news.
Make sure Bob Orton doesn't watch this episode.
Boy, Baron Corbin must really drive you nuts.
I can't take Baron Corbin. This guy should be down at the Elks
Tonight
Lodge.
might be a real rough night for you.
Half the guys I saw at the Elks Lodge last night, I would enjoy more than Baron Corbin.
Right. Well, it's funny when you mention like I know I'm going to get something thrown at me, but like when you mention a guy like Homicide, he does that for me. I'm like,
Homicide's awesome.
Right,
He's a technician.
and I think,
Really?
I really do. I don't go, wow, it's Homicide. I get all excited.
Homicide
it doesn't happen
is a
for me.
technician, man.
Yeah, I get it. But like to each his own. You know who really does that effect that you described Randy Orton for me? Magnus. Magnus. Nick Aldis.
Nick Aldis.
Now there's something with nothing going on. He's not even a snake. I don't know what he is.
Like Cody Rhodes is always solid, but he's just not great.
Right.
He's solid.
Okay.
I enjoy him, but I wouldn't go out of my way to see him if he was headlining a show.
Right.
He's like another guy on a card to me, but he's always solid. I enjoy him.
I honestly, I think Orton and Cena should have closed tent several years back. I mean, it's just
Cena's underrated. When Cena wants to work, he could work.
Yeah. Cena's great. It is good when he comes back from time to time. I can't stand John Cena, but that's
we
me.
always refer to the SummerSlam that we saw AJ and Cena put on.
That was a great match.
That was
the match of the night.
That was a great match.
AJ and Kenny Omega, the best guys out there right now.
Kenny Omega's incredible.
But we're going to wrap this up because we have a new show coming to Village Connection Radio. Jim, you want to tell us about it?
Sure. It's a new show starting today. It's called Kicking It with the Joneses.
Okay.
It's
talk show?
Yeah, it's a talk show. I'm really anxious. It's a husband and wife team.
Who are kicking it? The Joneses.
It's
pretty self-explanatory.
Good stuff.
It'll be a nice show.
There you go. And we're going to end with my buddy Timothy Dock, a great hip hop video, and Timothy Dock is a tremendous hip hop artist, and he's also sponsored the show. So much respect to Timothy Dock. This is called Unpatriotic, and we want to thank Wisteria Hall. We did almost 2 hours together today.
So Thanks for having us on, Evan. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
And support the
Jimbo.
CD. Plug your CD real quick.
Okay, it's Wisteria Hall. CD is called Indivisible. You can find it on Reverb Nation, iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, and pretty soon we'll have if people like CDs, we'll have that too. And hope you'll hear our music in some TV, movies, or anything. And
working on it.
Occasional performances.
Working on it.
And my co-host here has been very quiet all day. ProWrestlingStories.com. I write for them, so I just want, every once in a while, I remember to bring the shirt. I write for ProWrestlingStories.com, JP Zarka. And they do Lanny Paffo's podcast.
I recognize that
the
name.
Genius Cast.
Yep.
Anyway, that'll about wrap it up. Timothy Dock, Unpatriotic. Stick around for our new show, Kicking It with the Joneses, 1 p.m. Be back next week, folks. Thank you.
Got your step! Go! Come on, let's go! It's time to go! Arch forward!
Yeah, just lock him up. Lock him in your basement. Handcuff him in the back
Hey, guys, help me up! Help me up! Finish up!
America, great again.
No!
They say I'm unpatriotic. And I say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
They gon' call me unpatriotic, because of what I see.
Because of what I see. Because of what I see.
They gon' call me unpatriotic, and that's alright with me.
It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright.
Get your system, I got the solar system telling me unleash the wisdom. Trump done bought the kingdom. Write those songs and sing them. We need to hear that. Never will he be my president, long as my skin has melanin. For those of you that let him in, tell me, is America great again? Tell me who's got the rake again? They got those snakes in the White House, but I don't wanna blow that shit down. She told you she was on the borderline. Wall of lies call for us to rise. It's all about what you got inside. Black or white, straight or gay and bi. Latinos, come on, join the fight. We're all Americans tonight. Let me see you raise your banners high. Let me see your stars, let me see your stripes, let me see your fight. Yeah. Let me see your uppercuts. They trying to drag us through the mud. Ashley Judd, Meryl Streep and me. Kaepernick, I see you on your knees. I'm a rage till I no longer breathe. That's word to the blood of a rosary. Mother Mary, say a prayer for me. Make a real life fighting against a man. Ain't wrong, it's pure American. And I go to war with just a pen. Revolution, you can't stop this. And I'm a patriotic.
And they gon' call me unpatriotic, because of what I see.
Because of what I see. Because of what I see.
And they gon' call me unpatriotic, and that's alright with me.
It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright.
What do they tell you? What do they tell you? What do they tell you?
That I'm unpatriotic.